Good evening, and welcome to Episode 3 Sanctuary of Dad's Gone Bad Gaming's Fallout 4 podcast series. In this podcast, I run the main storyline of Fallout 4, nostalgically hitting on the main storyline events, character interactions, and battles that occur along the path of the lone survivor of Vault 111 in finding her lost infant son, Sean. I will run each mission of the main quest as its own episode with lore dumps, commentary, and character updates sprinkled in. Now with boots finally on the ground, we enter the Wasteland version of Sanctuary, with Scarlet Holiday, a shiny new character, still shell-shocked by recent events.
This isn't happening.
My, but you look distraught. Perhaps Sir can offer one of those hugs you humans are so fond of. Speaking of which, where is your better half?
They killed him.
Is the lad with you?
He's gone. God damn it. Someone took him. They stole my baby.
It's worse than I thought. Not eating properly for 200 years will do that, I'm afraid.
200 years? What? Are you sure?
A bit over 210, actually, Mum.
Codsworth, you're acting a little weird. What's wrong?
Mum, it's been just horrible.
The first dialogue with Codsworth works well to reinforce the list of traumas presented in the prologue and Vault 111 segments that begin the game. Although Scarlet has been locked in stasis for a long time, to her it seems like about an hour has passed, meaning that these are her most recent and intentionally traumatic memories. 1. She was at Ground Zero when the bombs fell. 2. She helplessly watched her husband get shot. 3. She helplessly watched her infant son being kidnapped. 4. She woke in a cryogenic chamber 210 years after total nuclear annihilation. 5. She reemerged into her world as a wasteland, devastated. After a great deal of cathartic venting,
Thank you, Codsworth.
they decided to search Sanctuary for Sean.
All right. Lead the way.
Proud to serve, Mum.
I knew right out of the box I wanted to build a gunslinger. When I chose Scarlet's starting special attributes during the prologue of the game, I was intentionally designing a charisma intelligence build with a decent starting scores for a gunslinger. The high charisma should help with those difficult dialogue persuasion attempts, and high intelligence is good for science, hacking, and gun mods. I chose to start with the low perception endurance, knowing that I can work on these aspects later because we gain 1 perk point each time the character gains a new level. So, a smart, nerdy gunslinger. Bang! An additional feature of Fallout 4 are settlements. Each settlement has a workbench that you can gain access to, allowing you to both store all your gear and stuff, as well as the ability to construct or build new structures. Fallout 4's building ability is very impressive and a lot of fun for those types of gamers like me who crazy build stuff, and bases definitely are on the menu. But I'm not going to focus on settlements in this episode beyond getting a group of settlers to come here to Sanctuary and begin to settle. I scrap a few things here in the settlement and throw it in my workstation, and I head off down the road. I know from previous playthroughs that the first stop here at the Red Rocket Trust Stop is where you find Dogmeat. He is an excellent companion to have.
Hey, boy.
Dogmeat is that
out here all by
iconic
yourself?
pooch from the Fallout 4 trailer that came out nearly a decade ago now. And he is one of the first companions you can get in the game. And he is amazing. Dogmeat is a total first-class murder mutt. This dog is amazing. He runs with you through the whole thing. He can stealth, and he definitely grabs onto enemies and he pins them down. Welcome to Concord. This is the first major combat encounter of Fallout 4. It is really broken up into 4 smaller battles. The first battle, the raiders outside of the museum in downtown Concord. And these battles tie into Sanctuary because you have to save the settlers who will populate Sanctuary, becoming your first settlement. Since I hadn't played the game in a long time, it was taking me a little bit to get used to it again. The VATs and everything of that nature, and which buttons to be pushing. I'm like mashing and hitting the wrong buttons. So this was really a good warm-up fight for what is to come. But again, this is the battle outside of the Museum of Freedom in downtown Concord. Now, as a side note, I am born and raised in Massachusetts and do live very close to Concord, so this game is very near and dear to my heart, so I'm super excited to be replaying it. I've been to Boston so many times in my life, it's crazy. Anyway, it's fun to also just dive back in And I really do love the combat mechanics in Fallout 4. If you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. It's definitely an upgrade from, say, Fallout 3 and New Vegas, is mechanically speaking. Now, I know this is a rabbit hole, but I am willing to join up with the Minutemen in this game, partially because I'm fond of the Minutemen in Massachusetts and, history and all that, but also because it is one of the factions, and it does give me a little bit of help in terms of finding settlements, which gives me more resources to build and to sell. And we're going to drop a point in gun. So here we go as we enter into the church. This is going to begin the second battle with the raiders inside, who have some settlers holed up in a room up on the second floor, and they're trying to kill them. So we're here to save them. And so we got to kill some raiders inside. Here we go. I really love the interior of this building, specifically because it's got a bunch of, because of this hallway right here. Check this out. You can hear some music playing, and it's a museum. And they have these mannequins all dressed up. And the first time I ever played this and I ran through there, I thought they were dudes, and I shot a bunch of them before I even realized they weren't. But I'm going to go ahead and hustle through here and get started on murder-eating some of these raiders. Now, Scarlet, she's still pretty low level, so I've been noticing that she's been really messing up in bats a lot, which is fine. So I have to do a little bit more of either hip firing or just aiming and shooting them out, and that's okay too. For those of you who have never played Fallout 4, that big needle that we just jammed into ourselves is a stim pack. That is sort of the healing potions of Fallout. Now, I have to say also that this is probably the third or fourth time where VATS was absolutely useless, so when there's partial cover, VATS isn't so great, so sometimes you just have to kind of line it up and aim it. That's okay. I certainly don't mind doing it that way either. I definitely enjoy playing this game. And I generally loot the bodies of all the ammo and maybe a gun, because they're generally higher value than most of the armor that these guys would have. Stim packs, food, I take all that stuff too. But this is where we get to our next storyline encounter.
Preston Garvey, Commonwealth Minutemen.
Glad to help.
Well, if that's true, we could use some more goodwill. As you can see, we're in a bit of a mess here.
Please, go on.
A month ago, there were 20 of us. Yesterday, there were 8. Now we're 5. First, it was the ghouls in Lexington, and now this mess.
Sorry. Sounds really rough.
Thanks.
Nah, that ain't
It's good to meet someone who really cares. Anyway, we figured Concord would be a safe place to settle. Those raiders proved us wrong.
Maybe?
But, well, we do have one idea.
One good idea can make all the difference.
Sturgis, tell her.
There's a crashed vertibird up on the roof. Old school, pre-war. You might have seen it. Well, looks like one of its passengers left behind a seriously sweet goodie. We're talking a full suit of cherry T-45 power armor. Military issue.
I like it.
Yeah, I thought you might. Protection with an added bonus. Get the suit. You can rip the minigun right off the vertibird. Do that, and those raiders get an express ticket to hell. You dig?
Minigun. Now we're talking.
I know, right? Only there's one hitch. The suit's out of juice. Probably been dry for 100 years. It can be powered up again. But we're a bit stuck.
I'll help if I can.
What you'll need is an old pre-war FC, a standardized fusion core, your high-grade, long-term nuclear battery used by the military and some companies way back when. And we know right where to find one.
But we can't get to the damn thing. It's down in the basement, locked behind a security gate. Look, I fix stuff. I tinker. Bypassing security ain't exactly my forte. You could give it a shot.
Can't be too hard. I'll see what I can do.
Well, all right. Maybe our luck's finally turning around. Once you jack the core into the power armor and grab that minigun, those raiders will know they picked the wrong fight. Good luck.
Now, it really doesn't take too long to be able to make your way down into the basement and get to that terminal where you hack it and pull the fusion core out of the reactor in the basement. So now, armed with my fusion core, I head back up to Preston and through the door heading up to the roof where my new power armor is waiting for me, and my new minigun is waiting for me so that I can begin to do an ass kicking on the people on the streets outside. And so begins the third battle within this sort of larger encounter here in Concord. And this is with yet another group of raiders. Apparently the raider boss is involved in this whole thing because some of these guys have actual names. And as you can see here, I stored up a crit, so I just go ahead and took that guy right out, just because I could. Also, it's really cool to, once again, be wearing power armor. So if you've played the game before, you know that thrill and excitement of having this stuff. You can like jump from super duper heights, you don't take falling damage, and you get this sort of Superman kind of exploding crash when you hit the ground. So I had to take out that guy too. Here, this is what I'm talking about. Listen to this. So, feeling emboldened with the power armor and the laser rifle, I run down the raiders in this third battle of 4, saving the fourth one for last because it's really kind of special. You'll see what I mean in just a minute here, but one thing I really want to point out is how effective Dogmeat is and how ineffective VATS can be with a laser rifle, even at medium distance. Pretty cool, huh? But when I actually can hit with the rifle and the murder mutt is on, we are in good shape. However, did you hear that loud banging? Look there, you see that grate? That is a death claw, and they throw it at you really early on in Fallout 4, and that is some scary poo right there, I gotta say. So, hopefully we can do this. I've been saving the minigun for this, and here we go. I keep firing, and the barrels just start to get red, and the damage counter isn't going down fast enough, and he's charging in on me, and I'm just like, oh no, I'm in trouble, and I had to do a cut there. And I backed up, and what saved me actually was Dogmeat, who engaged him out there, so I was able to get some damage in on this thing before it actually was able to rush me down this alleyway, and where I was able to finally take this thing out just barely before I died. Barely. Whew, that was a tough fight. And that is the fourth battle in the Battle for Concord, in being able to save Preston Garvey and the Minutemen, who will, I hope, come to Sanctuary and become settlers there, so that can become my sort of home base, at least to start. This is a good time for today's lore dump. According to the Fallout Wikipedia, Deathclaws originally engineered before the Great War by the U.S. government as a cheap replacement for human troops during combat operations. Although the project was successful in creating a ferocious predator capable of surviving on its own in the wild, no references exist of them ever being deployed on the battlefield. After the Great War, Deathclaws escaped into the wild and quickly spread across the continent. The Enclave had no hand in the Deathclaws' creation, so far as we know.
Well, since you say that, maybe you'll come to Sanctuary with us. We could use your help getting settled there.
What would I need to do?
You'd need to stay strong like you've been. 'Cause there's more to your destiny. I've seen it. And I know your pain.
My destiny? What do you mean?
You're a woman out of time, out of hope. But all is not lost. I can feel your son's energy. He's alive.
Where is my son? Where is Sean?
Oh, I wish I knew, kid. I really do. But it's not like I can see your son. I can just feel his life force, his energy. He's out there. And even I don't need the sight to tell you where you should start looking. The great green jewel of the Commonwealth, Diamond City, the biggest settlement around.
There we have it, our next quest clue. The Jewel of the Commonwealth.
What's in...
In saving the Minutemen in Concord, you gain T-45 power armor, a minigun, and you gain settlers for your sanctuary, your starting point. So that is going to be your starting base, and they're going to populate it, which will help you to build resources and to gain resources to sell for money for ammunition. So I go ahead and beat feet back to Sanctuary, and I'm going to go ahead and head over to my workbench because I want to upgrade one of my shotguns to higher damage, because that's just going to be helpful, especially in the early stages of the game. So, now armed up a whole lot better, it's time to get back on track to finding our son Sean, who has been kidnapped. Stay tuned for our next episode, Diamond City.
I roam around